I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
You're dating in OS? What is that like? I think that to be really, really good, you have to come from someplace inside that I'm just not sure I have.
Don't call me skank. I'll rip that nasty hair right out of your fucking head.
You make me so angry!
Now that's a proper introduction.
All right, welcome back everyone to our second special episode of the Best Thing We've Seen podcast. My name is Flo.
My name is Gabe.
Oh, you pronounced the B. Appreciate it.
You're so welcome.
Thank you. By the way, I looked it up on the last episode. It didn't actually come up. The subtitle was Gabe. Before you pronounced it even...
For the first time?
I don't know. I noticed it on one of the episodes, and the latest episode, it actually got you correctly.
I'm so glad about it.
Yeah.
Finally, they know me. Yeah.
Yeah. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm tired. I'm all
Always
right.
Tired. Always
How are you?
Tired. I'm good.
There's
man.
not a lot to do right now.
No, we're still in quarantine mode, but
It's fine.
yeah.
I'm fine with it, actually.
You are?
I enjoy it a bit, yeah.
well, I'm getting sick of it. I got to be honest with you, but taking the necessary precautions, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I was always kind of daydreaming. I wish that I had, 2 weeks where I could just do nothing or just get caught up with some movies or some games. And now I finally have the time.
Yeah. Have you
And
been?
it's socially acceptable to do it.
Yes. Everyone's doing it now.
Yeah.
Have you been have you watched more over the last couple of days than you did previously?
Yeah. The last 2-3 days, I've watched quite a bit. I might be getting into some of the things I've watched lately.
Okay.
But just as a kind of a throwback to last episode, I watched El Hoyo, the platform.
Oh, you did?
Which is now number one, or was number one trending on the Austrian Netflix.
Yeah, I think it's pretty popular, all over. I think it was.
No
released
wonder after
everywhere.
you mentioned it on your on our podcast.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I haven't got the filmmakers haven't been in contact with me, but
They're just nervous.
I'm always happy to help out up and coming filmmakers. So
Yeah, because right after we recorded the episode, I looked it up and it was number 3 or number 5 on the trending list.
Yeah,
and then it was number 1. This can't be a coincidence.
No, it can't be. Absolutely, I'm sure of it. So, what did you think of it?
It was great. It was great. Kind of weird ending.
It was a weird ending. Yeah,
I felt a little unsatisfied.
I agree.
But it was great, and I think you mentioned it on the episode. You said you kind of look at food differently.
I didn't mention that. No,
no, maybe it was just my head.
Yeah.
But
I know what
after I
you're
saw the
saying,
movie,
yeah.
I went to work, and I work in a kind of restaurant.
Yeah,
and I had to make some food. And it was kind of weird for a second. I just looked at it. It felt so wrong. I don't know.
Did you put extra care into it, like they do?
Yeah, dude, it's my
Had to be
favorite
perfect.
scene of the movie is when the chef
Finds a hair.
when it's completely silent. You just see the chef screaming at the cooks for having a single hair in it.
Yeah,
I loved it. My favorite scene.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it as well. I didn't know how popular that movie would be. I didn't, because I just read about it and heard about it in the film communities on Twitter or whatever it is, and wherever they are, and it's nice to see that it looks like the general public is into it as well.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised, especially seeing the other trending films or shows on Netflix right now aren't
That Contagion
on the
and
same
stuff?
level.
Is it all that?
Contagion isn't on Netflix, but it's things like Night Out with, I forgot her name. You know who I mean, right?
No, Night Out.
I think it's called Night Out with come on, the woman from Gilmore Girls and Spy and
Melissa
Ghostbusters. Melissa McCarthy, thank you. Yeah, Or was it Mom's Night Out, where she plays the mom?
Yeah. I don't know what it's called, but I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
We saw that one, didn't we? In the sneak?
Yeah, we saw it in the sneak, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of quite different films that normally land on the trending list, especially since it's a foreign film. Foreign film.
For sure. Let me just look that up real quick. It wasn't The Boss, right? That was the one previous to that?
Another one, yeah.
Let's see. It is called Life of the Party?
Life of the Party, yeah.
Maybe it's like titled differently in German?
No, I think it's Life of the Party also. I don't know how I
thought in Germany. In Germany, it's called How to Party with Mom.
Oh, okay.
The German
great title
of it is How to Party with Mom. Anyway, so we're excited because this episode, obviously we did the first special episode a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about the best things that we've seen from Brad Pitt. And today we decided we had to like we're doing it on Amy Adams today because in honor of her joining Instagram, which is the most like it's the biggest stretch ever because we wanted to you know what I'm saying, you know, we wanted something topical right now, and we tried to find something that we could talk about Amy Adams, and it turned out that she just recently joined Instagram, and that's enough for us to talk about her career.
Especially since I don't even have Instagram, so thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, dude, we needed something, and that's
I was quite excited when you told me that because, as you know, I'm a huge fan of Amy Adams.
Yeah.
So I'll take any excuse to talk about her. So, yeah.
I know.
It's great.
Would you say she's your favorite actress? Certainly one of them.
She's like in the top 3. Definitely, okay. Yeah.
Would you like to rattle off your top 3, or is that like too much to ask now?
Well, Natalie Portman's probably in there.
Okay.
And it's hard to tell who else I would put in there.
They're like your top 2.
Like from the top of my head, it's kind of difficult, but yeah, like my top 2. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of Amy Adams as well, and she's been pretty much great in everything she's been in, and as you mentioned to me before we started recording, she's been, I don't know, when did she start acting? It was like 20 years ago, you said?
I think it was the early to mid 2000s when she really started. When
her career took off, yeah. Do you remember the first thing that you saw from her, or where you first noticed her?
Yes, I do, and I think it's on a list. Well
you don't want to spoil it?
It's kind of tough because there's one film that's like the first role that I remember her from, but as I found out a couple of years ago, she also plays in one episode of That 70s Show, which we talked about 1 or 2 weeks ago. And I recently actually saw the episode again.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. She plays the hot, popular girl.
Is that going to make your list?
I wish it would, but one episode appearance isn't enough.
It's an honorable mention.
It is.
And do you remember the first movie you saw with her?
I do.
You don't want to spoil it?
It's going to come up later.
Okay, you're going to mention it there.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Right.
How about you? What's like the first Amy Adams memory? Was you a special one?
It's tough. It's really, I honestly don't remember the first thing that I've seen from her. I really couldn't tell you, but I don't know. I really couldn't say. I mean, now I can think of so many films when I think of her, and there's so many things that come to so many movies that come to mind, but I can't think of the first one that I saw. Maybe like when I really noticed her. I mean, you're right. I don't want to give away too much as well because it's like
I think it might be the same film.
Maybe. I'm interested in hearing what you're going to say. But yeah,
but
I think
as we found out today, she also starred in one episode of Charmed, which I used to love when I was young. So maybe that's the first time I saw her.
I recently had a long discussion with a friend of ours about Charmed.
And
she didn't come up though. She didn't come up.
Okay.
So I actually didn't.
Were you pro or against Charmed?
No, I'm pro Charmed. I used to watch it as well as a kid, but haven't seen it in absolute ages. But I was a fan of Phoebe, Alyssa Milano. She was always the reason why I watched it.
I can't remember. I only remember Amy Adams. No.
So she was in one episode, you said?
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
Wow. Okay. I see. I haven't even looked at
her last name was Murphy.
Oh, you remember that from all the time back then?
From 30 minutes ago when I was on IMDb.
Yeah.
Great time.
I looked up her when researching that the list and stuff for this episode, I looked through her IMDb, but I didn't I think I didn't go back far enough because I didn't see any of her like TV appearances back then.
Those were like one of her first acting credits.
She was in The Office. 3 episodes of The Office.
A couple of episodes. She was apparently in one episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, one episode of The West Wing. I mean, a lot of one episodes.
Yeah, it's before she got a start with, I think, Junebug.
Well, her first film was... Yeah,
sorry.
First nomination. Her first film was 1999, Drop Dead Gorgeous. That's her first credit on IMDb.
Okay, no idea.
I haven't seen that either, but apparently it's on my watch list, which doesn't say a lot because there's a lot on the watch list.
Yeah.
Anyway, so do you want to tell them how this special episode of the show works?
Yeah, sure. If you haven't seen or heard one of our special episodes, or one special episode that we have up right now, which is about Brad Pitt, we count down our top 10 best things we've seen by the actor or person that we talk about, or actress.
Could be a director or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, and then we count down to the best thing that we've seen from that person.
Right. So we haven't talked about the list before. I have no idea what Gabe is going to choose, and he doesn't know what mine.
Well, we have some idea.
Well, we have
because we know each other.
We know each other, yeah. But I have no idea. I think we know each other's number one, but I have no idea what your other picks are going to be. So it's going to be exciting. Yeah. So it's not like as you just said. I just want to reiterate this. It's usually we just talk about the best thing we've seen all week, and that's going to return like next week, and currently it's like once a month we do a special episode focused on one person so that we can actually talk about some older stuff as well that we love. So we're not like restricted to new stuff. And Amy Adams is an exciting choice because she's been in so many great things in my opinion. So I'm excited to hear your list. Do you want to start us off?
Yeah. All right. Just before I start, I just want to say I'm not that happy with my number 9 and 10. I told this to Flo in great detail before we started.
See, it's already starting off bad. Come on, you gotta love your picks.
It's gonna be great from number 8 on. Okay, so number 10 was quite hard to pick, but I picked Big Eyes, which is a film by Tim Burton, whom I'm not a fan of.
It's the negativity again.
I'm sorry. I just want to get this straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Big Eyes, if you don't know what the film's about, it's a real life story of a painter played by Amy Adams who gets married to she gets married to an asshole, pretty much, to Christoph Waltz. It's not a common in Christoph Waltz because the person in the film, or like I said, it's based on real life, the person she's married to kind of steals her paintings. He says that he's the one who painted them, he's a great artist, and takes credit for all that she did. It's a very interesting film, just, I don't know, seeing a manipulative relationship work and all that stuff. But the thing that I most remember about this film is towards the end.
Okay.
Which
I haven't seen this one. This is one of the few films that I haven't seen from her. And the thing I've heard is that she's great in it. So
She is. This is why I picked the film, because the last time I saw the film was when it was in cinemas.
Okay.
In the cinema. And I remember to be alright, but I remember to be pretty great, and some of the best part of her performance comes towards the end, and one of the I wouldn't say it's a twist, but something that didn't see coming that kind of stayed with me.
Okay.
It's this one freaking scene, which is not something that exciting. It's not like, I don't know, spiders crawling out of her mouth or something like that. It's just a twist in her life that I didn't thought I'd see coming, and something that when I would normally see it, I'd say, okay, this is quite weird, but it's kind of interesting to see someone who would turn to such a path in their life. Okay,
no, I'm interested. Yeah. Don't say more.
Yeah, I won't. All right, and this is pretty much all I'm going to say about Big Eyes, because there's not much else that I can say, except, I don't know, recap the story, but I think you should just watch the film,
Yeah. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to do it like one each, right? So Gabe starts off with his 10, then I'll do 10. I'll do my 10.
Yeah, so that was my number 10, so back to you. How about you? What's your number 10?
Yeah, I realized one thing that we haven't mentioned we're using another different platform to record this, different software, because obviously last week we talked about that we used a platform called Zencaster, and that worked quite well, but I wasn't too happy with the results because there were some like distortion issues. And now this week we're using a different one. We're using Clean Feed, and we're going to see how that goes, and then compare the two and know what we're going to use going further. But I think this is going to be a bit better, hopefully.
Yeah, bear with us as we try to figure this out.
Yeah. All right, let's get back to business. My number 10 is Her.
All right.
It's Her. Is that going to make your list?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be high. Okay, so this is also one of those films that I haven't seen since it was in theaters, but I just remember her as being sort of the human connection for Joaquin Phoenix, as opposed to obviously Scarlett Johansson as the AI. And I remember her being like the I think she's his neighbor, right? They live in the same apartment building.
I think so. She's like one of his only friends.
Yeah. Right, and I enjoyed her performance as the sort of the human connection that he had with her. It's just another thing that we haven't mentioned. It's always difficult if we do those lists. Like, should we pick her performance or should we pick the movie? Right? We talked about this as well. It's always difficult because, as Gabe mentioned, like if we would talk about Bruce Willis films, he would also choose 12 Monkeys as his number one, as he did with Brad Pitt, because it's just the movie. We're not really talking about the actor in it. It's just the movie. So I think it's sort of finding the balance between the performance of an actor and the film itself. Does that make sense?
It does to me, because we already talked about it before we started recording.
Yeah,
I'm with you on the same page. Yeah,
you had to act as the audience for a second. Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah,
great argument.
So, as we said, like there's also like a couple of films where Amy Adams, she has like a smaller role in it, and we could love that film, but it's not necessarily the best thing that we've seen from her because she's just not in it enough for it to be considered as one of her films or shows or whatever. So it's always
pun intended.
What was the pun?
It's not her film.
It's not her film, and we're talking about her, right? So that's one of those examples where I wouldn't necessarily think of this as an Amy Adams film. More obviously, it's more of a Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson film, but she's sort of the she makes the triangle complete, and she's sweet in that film. And it's obviously, I don't want to give anything away if you haven't seen it, but her role, I think her role gets bigger throughout the whole film as she sort of starts off as the neighbor, and then things develop, and it's just a great film, really. I mean, it's beautifully shot, and it's just a great film that I really would like to see again because I haven't seen it in so long.
Yeah, I don't want to really add anything to that.
You want to keep, yeah.
I want to agree with you because
please do.
My number 9 is her, and everything that you just said is pretty much what I would have said in terms of why I liked her performance and why it's a good film and it's a good performance by her, but why it's not higher on the list because it's not necessarily an Amy Adams film.
Right.
And yeah, her role is quite small in her screen time. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you could argue that it's not like, I think she could decide not to be a part of these kind of films and just go for like movies where she plays a bigger part. But I think what's quite great about her is she picks smaller roles at times if she thinks the movie is better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and she does. She has some great supporting.
She's been in great
roles.
Films. Yeah, absolutely. So, do you want to add anything else, or are we done with her?
Not
done
really,
with her?
No. Like I said, I'm not that happy with 9 and 10 because with number 10, I haven't seen the movie in quite some time. Might be the film on this list that it's been a long time since I've seen it, and her is probably the smallest role she has, and from all the films that I have on my list right now, which made it kind of a hard pick.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the ones that you're happier.
No, well, first.
Right. But this one's probably going to be higher in your list because my number 9 is The Fighter.
All right. I don't know. How are we going to do this? No comment or?
No, just is it going to make your list? Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Is it much higher?
Be a bit higher.
Okay.
Not much.
All right. So I'll just I'll give my 2 cents on it, and then we'll move on. You'll talk about it when you get to it.
Sure.
This is another one where Amy Adams, she plays a smaller part in that. She's sort of the love interest of Mark Wahlberg, if I remember correctly. And there's this great scene where he meets her in a bar. And judging by your reaction, you remember that scene? And I watched that.
Yeah, I wanted to name the same scene.
Yeah, it's a great scene.
That's why I'm laughing. Yeah, it is.
And she's sort of she really gets into it with the family and the friends of the family that Mark Wahlberg and Christian Bale are part of, right? Because they're the boxing brothers, and Melissa Leo is her mother, and Amy Adams sort of gets introduced to, or she, through the relationship with Mark Wahlberg, she gets to meet everyone, and she really gets into. She doesn't take shit, basically, right? She's she's throwing punches, and
which is quite interesting from her roles, because she has definitely has those roles where she stands up for herself and she doesn't take any shit from anybody.
Yeah.
But then other roles like her, she's like this reclusive person who's quite sweet and nice to everybody.
Right.
So
she has range.
She's quite some range, yeah.
Absolutely. Which makes her great. Absolutely. Let's
then those matriarchs, like in kind of in Vice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. She can play lots of different roles, and she plays them all well.
Yeah.
For sure. What's your number 8?
My number 8 is, this might be the second and only film on my list that you might not have seen.
Okay.
Which is Julie and Julia.
I've seen that one.
All right.
It didn't make my list. It's an honorable mention.
That's fair. It's fair. But it's a very sweet film. It's by Nora Ephron, whom you might know from films such as Harry Met Sally, for which she wrote the screenplay. She both directed and wrote the screenplay for this film, which was also her last film before she died. And she, or You Got Mail, those classic Meg Ryan love comedies.
Right.
And yeah, it's a very sweet film, also based on a true story about a fan of Julia Childs.
Yeah.
Who was a cook, a very famous cook, and she plays a fan of hers who starts a blog, and she starts recreating the recipes of Julia Childs.
Right. Who is played
by Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
Meryl Streep.
Meryl.
Yeah, and it kind of switches perspectives between Amy Adams, who recreates those dishes, and how she handles her new blog and her marriage, and then and between flashbacks of Julia Child's life and how she started cooking and how she created some dishes.
Right. It sort of plays in two different timelines, the film.
Yeah, because Julia Childs lived back in the, I don't know, what was it, 50s, 60s maybe?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to say anything wrong.
Before, yeah.
And when she lived in France. And her cookbook is very much inspired by French dishes, or features a lot of French cuisine dishes. Yeah. French cuisine, thank you. And it's just a very sweet film, and
it is.
It's kind of nice to watch, and it's always kind of nice to watch a cooking film once in a while. I think it's just a feel good film.
It is. One thing I really liked about that one is both husbands, like Stanley Tucci plays Meryl Streep's husband, and Chris Messina is Amy Adams' husband, and they're both like these really sweet and supportive husbands, like all the way through.
Yeah.
Which is like, you don't usually see that, right? There's usually they usually like tell them that don't do that, you're wasting your time or whatever, and there's conflict and blah blah blah. And I don't remember, like, maybe there were some small fights, but I just remember them both as like both being very supportive and caring husbands, which was that sort of stood out to me. I don't know why.
Talking about Chris Messina, have you seen anything else by him?
Well, he was in
that's on the list.
Oh God, I'd have to think about this now. I don't think so. No,
so probably not. All right.
I
might get back to it later. Yeah.
Let's have. Let me. What do we? I don't know. Maybe. I can't think of any other of his films right now that could be on this list. But he was in. I've seen him in like Ruby Sparks and yes. Yes, he's gonna make another appearance on the list. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your number 8?
My number 8 is The Master.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen that?
I thought it would be higher. I watched it yesterday for the first time.
See, I'm interested in. Is that higher?
It is.
Okay. Everything's higher.
It is.
So this is another one where I wouldn't think of this as an Amy Adams film per se, even though she was nominated for it, and rightfully so, because she's great in it. But this is like
I think she very much deserved the Oscar, although I do not remember who actually won that year.
I don't remember either. But this for me it's a Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman film. And as
Who's
you know,
your darling?
he's my favorite actor, Philip Seymour Hoffman. And this was one of those films. I saw that one like a couple of years ago, and I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. And I have this issue with Paul Thomas Anderson films, that I respect them more than I actually love them. The Master is one of those films where the acting is really phenomenal, and that's usually when someone says that, I'm like, yeah, but this is really like, when I think of great acting in film, this is a movie that comes to mind, and everyone in it is fantastic. I mean, there's this one scene, that interrogation scene between Hoffman and Phoenix where they can't blink, which still to this day, I have no idea how they did that, because I tried doing it while they were doing it, and I could last for like
yeah, me too.
10 seconds, and they did it for like minutes. Or Phoenix did it for minutes. But yeah, I mean, Amy Adams, she plays the husband. She plays the husband, which is one of her. She has range.
Great
that
makeup,
woman has
yeah.
range. No, she's the wife of Philip Seymour Hoffman, who basically plays a Scientology leader, which is never said in the film, but it's sort of implied.
Yeah,
Lancaster Dodd.
which is so funny because while I was watching the film, I was like, "This is so similar to Scientology, and this seems so real." So I wasn't sure if it's based on a true story on some other cult.
Yeah, it isn't.
Yeah.
I think, right? It's all out of the mind. Is it written by Paul Thomas Anderson? I think it is. Based on
I think so. Yeah, I think yeah.
And I mean, as I said, this is one of those films that I respect more than I actually love it, because it's more of a glimpse into a person's life than like a story told like with a beginning, middle, and an end. It's sort of like you get an insight into a person's story and then it ends, right? There's no like big.
Well, it's more of an insight into someone's psychology. It's very much reminded me of the Joker for obvious reasons, seeing as it's also Joker and Phoenix in the main role. Just kind of his exploring his perspective and his view on the world and how he treats people and how he perceives people to be treating him, because his relationship to Philip Seymour Hoffman is quite weird.
It is
a special relationship that they share.
Well, yeah, Hoffman is sort of the cult leader, and he's sort of recruiting Phoenix's character, isn't he? Like
Yeah, well, the actual reason he kind of recruits him in the beginning is because he likes the makeshift alcohol that he brews, which he makes from alcohol
gasoline
and different
something.
chemicals. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And Amy Adams she because obviously like Phoenix's character is then like accepted into their community, but Amy Adams sort of plays the counterpart, and she's suspect of him and always telling her husband that he might not be good for their group or whatever, and sort of looking at him with a, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, is that, am I remember that correctly?
The downfall of them, and
she's suspect of him.
Yeah.
And she plays that incredibly well, as we said. She's pretty much great in everything. I think everyone should watch this film because it's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And it's important because things like that are happening, right? It's crazy. The craziest thing about this film is that it's not too far-fetched. And the acting is fantastic all the way through. What's your number 7?
My number 7 is a film by Adam McKay, Vice.
Yes.
Once again, not an Amy Adams film. Although she does have a bigger role than she does in, let's say, Her.
Does she?
She does have more screen time, I think so, yeah.
See, I wouldn't know.
More, like, bigger interactions with the protagonist, who is in Vice, Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
Whom she plays the wife of. And I think, it just shows her range. I know as this kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Conservative.
Yeah.
But very strong and very determined woman who supports her husband, what he does, and kind of tries to make him, or is just supporting him, but she tries to, or wants him to be a more powerful man. She believes that he can be this more powerful man, but she's very strict with him and doesn't give him any bullshit. And kind of makes it clear that one of the reasons that she is still with him is because he isn't a loser, and if he
Yeah.
becomes a loser, then he's nothing to her.
Yeah.
Which is a very tough relationship that they have, but that's the thing that makes it so interesting, and it's what makes her performance so interesting, because it's such a departure from her nice roles and her, I don't know, more subtle, less subtle roles, I guess, because in this film she's very calm and very demanding, but she does it so well, and she does play a bit of an older woman.
Yeah, she does.
And she herself was in her 40s when she made that film, and plays like a woman in her 60s. And she does it incredibly well, and you do buy it just from how she behaves and how she talks, and yeah, she does a great job.
Absolutely, yeah. I didn't include it on my list. It's an honorable mention.
I thought you wouldn't, yeah.
It made the film itself made my best of the year list last year, because we got to see it like in 2019. We didn't get to see it in 2018, but I didn't include it because I didn't think she was in it enough. But you're right, maybe
there are a lot of those films where she isn't in it that much.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
and she did get an Oscar nomination once again.
Did. Yeah,
and well, very much deserved. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we got to stop mentioning that these are not Amy Adams films. Of course, they are Amy Adams films.
Yeah,
her roles in those films
compared to
right.
Last time we did this kind of special episode where we talked about Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt just has more leading roles than Amy Adams does. But
yes,
Amy Adams, although she is kind of not in the spotlight exactly, but she very often is kind of the highlight of the film and the most memorable part of it, although her role is much smaller than her co-stars.
Yeah, which makes her a fucking great actress, which is...
It does. That's why I love her so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of Oscar nominations, because, I mean, she hasn't won any, right? She's been nominated 6 times.
Yeah, Junebug, Doubt, Vice...
Master, The Fighter.
The Master, yeah, American Hustle, and Arrival.
No, it wasn't Arrival.
Yeah,
The Fighter, The Master, Junebug, Doubts, Vice, and American Hustle.
But she was nominated for Arrival. And
no.
What? I gotta look this up. I'm sorry.
Not for the Academy Awards.
What? Repeat the list.
Well, everything except Arrival.
I was so sure.
No, she wasn't nominated for that. For the Globes, she was, but she wasn't for the Academy Awards.
She got snubbed.
Yeah. But anyway, her first Academy Award nomination is my number 7, which is Junebug.
Sorry, this is fucking with me so hard right now.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Terrible.
No, everyone was saying that back then. She should have been nominated.
Must have forgotten I suppressed that memory.
Yeah. Have you seen Junebug?
I have not. I'm sorry. Is it on your list?
It's in a different... Yeah, I just said it's my number 7.
I'm sorry. No, I haven't seen Junebug. I would love to see it. I didn't get a chance.
We've lost Gabe for the remainder of this episode.
I'm sorry, yeah.
That was too shocking for him.
It was, yeah.
So Junebug is... that came out in 2005, so that was 15 years ago now.
Breakout role, right?
I think so, yeah, because it was her first nomination, and that was sort of... I was blown away by how good she was in that film. I don't know if you know what it's about.
No idea.
Let's give a quick summary. It's about she plays the wife of that's difficult to explain now. The wife of a brother, and the brother of
the wife of a brother.
No, I know. I got to start over. This is like her husband.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole summary then. No, she lives with her husband and her
husband.
His family. Sorry?
Yeah, I thought you just said husband plural. All right.
No. She lives with her. She lives with her husband.
All right. Okay.
And she's pregnant, and
okay.
The brother of her husband comes to visit the family. Like, she lives with his parents and him, and her brother comes to visit them with his new girlfriend, and it's sort of, she interacts a lot with the girlfriend of his brother, and she plays this very naive and very sweet and I think that girl with big eyes who like loves the world and smiles at everything, even though and suppresses everything bad that's happening because her husband is treating her quite badly, not in terms of like violence, but sort of like ignores her all the time and is angry constantly. And when the new girlfriend of his brother comes to visit, she's like a city girl, and Amy Adams is like fascinated by her, and she plays it so well, and like she's honestly so sweet and so damn good in that film that the movie itself wasn't fantastic, I would say. Like, this placement on my list is very much because of Amy Adams' performance, and it's a supporting role. Like the main actors, I think the girlfriend of the brother is credited as the main actress or the leading actress. And I think, although she's very good in the film as well, Amy Adams sort of steals every scene she's in, and she's so innocent and sweet, and it's a really, really good performance. And even 15 years ago, she was already great.
Your description of her character kind of reminds me of Enchanted,
which is that's another one I haven't seen. Is that?
That's all right.
It's all right. It's not going to make your list.
Apparently, there's a sequel in the making, Disenchanted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where she kind of breaks out and kind of gets that she should be on her own, and
you'll be first. You'll be first in line.
No, I don't know. It sounds like an interesting premise and kind of interesting twist to the whole happily ever after princess films, but I was so disappointed by Enchanted that I don't know.
Okay.
I can't imagine it to be all that great. Plus, I didn't like the lead actor.
Who's the lead actor?
I forget his name every time. He's like this typical pretty boy.
Is it Dempsey?
Rom-com.
Patrick Dempsey?
Be. Yeah, I think
the guy
so.
from Grey's Anatomy?
I haven't seen Grey's Anatomy.
What?
Oh.
Let's see.
Yeah, Patrick Dempsey.
It is? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, McDreamy.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of his.
Yeah. I've only seen him in Grey's Anatomy, and maybe I think he was in a Transformers film as well.
Which one?
Oh, God, it's going to be the wrong one. Whichever I'm going to say. I think the fourth one.
Okay, I think I watched 1 and 2, maybe 3, but I think I never finished the third one.
I think he's in the one with Rosie Huntington Whiteley and Mark Wahlberg. Is it? Oh no, that's with Shia LaBeouf still. Transformers, Patrick Dempsey. It is Transformers: Dark of the Moon, which is the third one. See, I knew I was going to say the wrong one, but it's the one with Rosie Huntington Whiteley. So it's the
third one, the one that plays in Egypt.
That's the second one, I believe. Don't ask me anything about Transformers.
Who cares about Transformers? Yeah, I don't know.
No, just everything. When I mix up all of these, every franchise film. You ask me about a fucking certain one, I have no idea which one it was. Anyway, Junebug. Yeah, I mean it's a family drama, and it's about her pregnancy, and it's about the relationship that she has with her husband, and also the relationship that she has with the brother of her husband and her new girlfriend. And it's decent, man, and she's great in it. So that's my number 7.
All right. My number 6 is a film that you already mentioned, The Fighter.
Okay.
Which, as I told you before we started filming, I said that I want to rewatch a film that I had on Blu-ray, but couldn't because I bought my brother my PS4, so I didn't have any platform to play my Blu-rays on. And you said you think you know which film I'm going to pick, or I'm going to say that's the film that I tried to rewatch but couldn't.
Yeah, I thought it was her.
What did you think?
I thought it was her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, but The Fighter, great film, as you said. And also a true story, once again.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the star of the show in this film is definitely Christian Bale.
Yeah. I think he won for that, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Dude, well deserved. And it's one of his most shocking transformations.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. He's got a lot of them.
Well, he's kind of he's famous for his getting thin and getting fat and getting buff transformations, which he did in Vice, which he did in American Hustler, which he did in The Machinist, and many more. He's crazy. He's fucking crazy. But he plays a meth addict in this film, and he's great. But enough about Christian Bale, and back to Amy Adams, because as I said, she's this really sweet character who really supports Mark Wahlberg, and this tough, doesn't take any shit girl or woman. And I think her character is just such a sweet person, and you just instantly fall in love with her.
I know you did.
Of course I did. Yeah,
of course you did. It doesn't take.
I fell in love with her in every film, and I include Vice. And the master.
Yeah. Well, the master, she's not like she's the way she normally looks in the master, isn't she?
No, it's not because of her looks. It's because she plays the wife of a cult leader, and she's batshit crazy in that film.
Dude, it's always the edges that make her attractive.
But yeah, and one of her many films, or it feels like many films that she did with Christian Bale, and I think they work great on screen.
That's I've been wanting to say this. I was like waiting for a higher pick, but she's worked with so many people multiple times.
Yeah, she did, and with some directors like David O. Russell, she did twice. Adam McKay 2 or 3 times.
Did she? That Will Ferrell.
Whatever it's called. The
Talladega Nights.
Talladega
Nights.
All right, the film that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
I want to watch the film before we start it. All right, if I start now, I have 10 minutes before we start recording.
I was cutting it close.
Yeah, it was. And then I started watching and I realized how big her role was in that film. And I was about halfway through and she had about 2 lines.
Yeah.
And I realized the role isn't getting any bigger. And then I got a call and so I stopped because I knew there was no time left.
Yeah.
But yeah, which I thought was very surprising since the year before that she did Junebug. And then she did this incredibly small role.
Right, but I mean, she wasn't like an A-lister after Junebug. You could argue.
No, she wasn't, but she was bigger than like a 5-line character. I don't know how many lines were going to come after I turned off the film.
Right.
I'm going to finish after we stop recording. But yeah, she had some great collaborations with...
For sure.
Well, who else did she have?
Well, she worked with Streep multiple times, with Philip Seymour
Jeremy
Hoffman,
Renner,
with Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right, yeah.
All right. So, are you done with The Fighter?
I'm done with The Fighter. I'm ready for your number 6.
So my number 6 is, I mean, it's literally one of my favorite films.
I know which one you're going to pick, yeah.
I'm not sure. The reason why it's number 6 is because, once again, her role is very small in this one. I mean, it really is very small in that film. What do you think is going to be?
Catch Me If You Can.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
See, that didn't make my list.
It didn't make... What? All right. Okay.
No, that's an honorable mention as well, because I don't remember her, like, I don't know how big her role was in that. Anyway, my number 6 is Charlie Wilson's War.
All right.
Is that going to be on your list?
No, it was between Charlie Wilson's War, her, or Big Eyes. I was sure about the order of those 3 films, but her role was too small for me in Charlie Wilson's War.
It is a very, very small role. But I needed to put this film on the list because I absolutely love this film. And if you haven't heard of this, it's Tom Hanks, it's Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Amy Adams plays Tom Hanks' secretary. And there's like one scene where Philip Seymour Hoffman meets Tom Hanks. It's a film about like a war film, but not with soldiers. It's just like behind the scenes, basically. It's a bureaucracy of war, and Tom Hanks is trying to get weapons to the Palestinians or something like that. Is that correct? It's gonna be wrong. Like bazookas.
I don't want to say anything wrong because the film handles quite a touchy subject, but it's about they help troops in the Middle East to fight back, and then they kind of fucked it up, and it's kind of the pre-story to the start of the terrorists, essentially. Because if you don't know, the Americans kind of funded the people who then became the terrorists that attacked the U.S.
Right.
And they kind of trained them with their CIA operatives.
Right.
And sent them weapons.
I mean, and it's a tough and dark subject, but the film itself is very, very funny because it's written by Aaron Sorkin, who I mentioned in the Brad Pitt episode is one of my favorite writers, and it's directed by Mike Nichols, who did like The Graduate, and he's one of the greatest directors. And this is really just it's amazing. And the one scene I wanted to mention with Amy Adams in it is where Philip Seymour Hoffman, I think he plays a CIA analyst, or he works for the CIA, and he meets with Tom Hanks' character at his office, and it involves a whiskey bottle and maybe do you remember this scene? He puts like a surveillance device in the whiskey, and it's always like there's 2 doors, and behind one of them is Amy Adams, and she keeps coming in and interrupting their discussion because she needs to talk with Tom Hanks because stuff is happening, and Tom Hanks keeps sending Philip Seymour Hoffman back outside, and then he gets back in, and the other ones are leaving again, and but Philip Seymour Hoffman hears everything because he bugged the Scotch bottle or whatever, and it's a great scene. So I don't want to. It doesn't sound as good, but you have to watch it. It's amazing, and
I had a great time watching the film because we watched it together at a friend's place.
Yeah.
And I remember being quite drunk. So I don't remember everything about the film. But I remember it was a great film.
Yeah, I mean, I really absolutely love the film. And Philip Seymour Hoffman, he's rarely better than in this film. And that is saying something. Great, yeah. That is saying something. And you got Julia Roberts in there. You got John Slattery in there. It's a great cast. And it's a great film about a very tough subject. And
Philip Seymour Hoffman is also... He's some great range and can switch between those hilarious characters he has in Charlie Wilson's War. He often plays characters who have kind of an anger problem, I think. But he has this great ability to switch between characters who, do it in a funny way in Charlie Wilson's War and this incredibly scary and intimidating and crazy way like he does in The Master.
Absolutely. He's crazy, amazing.
Yeah. It's great, yeah.
All right, what's your number 6?
My number 6, we already did my number 6. I'm going to do a number 5.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah. Perfect.
Which is probably, like I mentioned, my first memory of...
that was the one.
Amy Adams, yeah. Maybe I didn't mention that it was Catch Me If You Can, but yeah.
Catch Me If You Can. You teased which...
All right, I teased it. I tease like I usually do. And Catch Me If You Can, great film. Steven Spielberg, one of his greats. It's just a great film that I think it's the kind of film that pretty much everyone I know has seen this film.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know a single person who hasn't, because I think it was on TV quite a bit back in the day. And it's a classic. It's a great film that you can watch with your family. It's funny, it's exciting, it's something for everyone. And Amy Adams plays the love interest of Leonardo DiCaprio, who, also based on a true story, plays Frank Abagnale. I think Abagnale.
Frank Abagnale Jr.
Abagnale, fuck. Abagnale
Aubergine.
Jr.
Frank Aubergine. What did you say?
Aubergine.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
I don't know, some other character is called Aubergine.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
That's Tom Hanks.
He plays a forger. And he forges documents and he forges checks, and he then forges his medical license and starts working as a doctor. And that was before he was, I think, 18 years of age. And Amy Adams plays a nurse who falls in love with him, and they marry, or want to marry.
Mm-hmm.
And she also plays this very sweet girl, and I think one of her first big acting roles, especially after Junebug. Or maybe it might have been the same time.
No, it was before Junebug.
It was before. All right. So it must have been one of her...
It was one of her earlier roles.
Earlier roles, yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, the reason I picked this film is she's great. I think she plays her role perfectly, first of all. And second of all, why I picked it and why I picked it as my number 5 is because it's my first memory of Amy Adams, and I loved her. Right. And I loved her when I was young, and I thought she was kind of fell in love with her back when I was young.
Yeah,
very pretty. No, it's just, it's my first memory, and she has a great role, and will always have a kind of a special place. This film, and yeah,
fair enough.
It's kind of a childhood, kind of childhood film.
Yeah, I just didn't include it because I honestly don't remember how big her role was, and I thought she was a love interest, which is sort
fair,
of a small piece.
If you want to see an Amy Adams film, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this film. But
yeah,
we
keep saying that she's like we're gonna get to her like leading roles. I think now, right? Or
the one after this one.
Well, my 5 is American Hustle.
All right,
which is a bigger role for her for sure.
It is. She was nominated as leading actress, actually.
Oh, she was?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love this film. I rewatched this a couple of months ago. Hadn't seen it since it was in the theater. And this is just, it's once again it's with David O. Russell. Or did we talk about David O. Russell? Yeah, the fighter. Sorry, the fighter, who's a director who everyone hates nowadays because he's supposed to be a pretty big asshole and a prick and whatever. But there's like video evidence of that where he screams at what's her name? Lily Tomlin, on a movie set, and I think it's very well known that he's a prick. But in my opinion, he makes great films. So anyway, let's leave that to the side. American Hustle. I mean, she's the love interest of Christian Bale in that again. As we mentioned, she keeps working with the same actors, which is good. And Christian Bale and she also well, they're both con people. They how do you describe that? They trick people out of their money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They actually call themselves con men.
Yeah. And Bradley Cooper then is on he's a cop, I think, or
an FBI
agent, and he's trying to catch them, and then the film takes a turn, and Amy Adams is sort of trying to persuade Bradley Cooper, seduce him, and I don't want to give away too much, but I love a good con film, and I love it's a good crime film with an incredible cast, because you also got Jennifer Lawrence in there and Jeremy Renner, and it's also
Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro, of course. How could I forget? Yeah. And it's
for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's just really funny at times as well, and it's smart, and it takes turns that you don't expect, and it's well acted, and I just really like this film. The music is fantastic, man. I think it's the quote is like, "How do you start a song like that?" I think the movie opens on a specific tune, and when you look up that tune on YouTube, like all the comments are like about American Hustle, and how do you open a film like that, because it's such a great tune, and it's amazing. I love that film. Is it higher on your list?
It is a bit.
Okay.
Just a bit.
Your number 4?
And it isn't. No.
Okay.
No, my number 4 is a film that you already picked, which is The Master.
Oh, wow.
Which I watched for the first time yesterday.
Yeah.
I kind of invested in this podcast because I actually had to borrow it from Prime, so it was kind of a business expense.
Yeah.
But yeah, those 3 years were worth it. Yeah, great film.
You've been meaning to watch it for a long time, though, right?
Yeah, I was, and it's kind of one of those apparently great films that I missed out on, and I always want to watch it because it's an amazing film with amazing performances, and it is. I had no idea what the film is about.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I knew that Joaquin Phoenix plays kind of a crazy guy. That's all I knew.
Well, that applies to every single one of his films, doesn't it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But what I thought was incredibly great about this film, nothing to do with Amy Adams, but the camera was so freaking good. And normally I don't notice those kinds of things, but the camera was so amazing that at one point I actually stopped the film to take a picture because I thought this scene looked so freaking great. Yeah, it's the same cinematographer as in Jojo Rabbit.
Okay.
And he didn't receive a nomination for the film for The Master or Jojo Rabbit, which I think is kind of a shame. Anyway, but yeah, like we already talked about, Amy Adams plays the wife of Philip Seymour Hoffman, the cult leader. And yeah, she does in a great way because you kind of see that she's convinced by what her husband says, and kind of keep out the traitors and the non-believers. And yeah, and this is one scene that very much stayed in my head, which is where Amy, her character, jerks Philip Seymour Hoffman's character off. It's this weird scene because she just comes up behind him while he brushes his teeth or something.
Yeah,
and he kind of looks at women, and he's very friendly towards everybody. And he has this big personality, and she just comes to him, starts jerking him off, and says to him, "So it's okay if I don't find out, and if nobody we know finds out. And now, all right, now come for me." It's such a weird freaking scene. It's a weird thing to do, and it's a weird thing for her to play.
Yeah.
Especially when we talk about those kind of characters like, I don't know, in The Fighter or Catch Me If You Can, where she plays those sweet characters, and then, I don't know, I didn't see that scene coming, and yeah. It's great.
It's great.
Such a weird scene. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, there's like a theme, right? Because she usually, or like not usually, but we mentioned a couple of things now where she plays the supportive wife, right? You have the fighter or the girlfriend. You have the fighter. You have the master. You have,
yeah.
What was
in
it?
In a way, American
Vice,
Hustle.
Vice as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, American Hustle. Yeah.
At first, she is the supportive girlfriend of Christian Bale.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you could like say that that's like Hollywood at its best. That it's always like the supportive wife. That's like the main roles for actresses nowadays. But hey, I mean, she makes the most out of all of those roles, and she makes every single role great.
Yeah, she kind of makes the film something you kind of remember the film for her.
Yeah, well,
in some places.
Yeah, I mean, I would not agree. Like, as we mentioned, that most of those films are like led by some incredible performances, other than hers as well.
Sure, but in Vice, she kind of very much stayed with me. Although the film has
sure.
some great performances,
but it's still like Christian
very
Bale,
big name actors.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, we gotta move along. We've been going for a while now.
Yeah, we did. We are. So number 4.
Now big league right now. Number 4. It's gonna be another preamble here because this is a film that once again, and I'm so sorry for repeating myself here, but the reason why this is number 4 and not higher, because I love the film so much, is because her part once again is not the leading part, and it's not small, not as small as in like her or whatever, but it's smaller than the other 2 actors who are in it. Anyway, the film I'm talking about is Doubt.
Yeah.
Is that higher on your list?
Doubt is the one big film with Amy Adams that I haven't seen. That I would love to have seen it before we made this list, and I tried to watch it, but it wasn't on Prime or anywhere, and I had like one day left, so
gotcha.
I just tried to watch The Master and something else.
Gotcha. Well, I had I watched this with a friend of mine together, and we're both big fans of Philip Seymour Hoffman, and I just remember we're still talking about that. Like when we talk about films and the movies that we've seen together, this is usually the first one that we talk about because we were like so mesmerized by it, and it's due to Philip Seymour Hoffman's performance, it's due to Meryl Streep's performance, and it's also due to Amy Adams' performance, who like those 3 are sort of the main. Well, as I said, I think the 2 main actors are Philip Seymour Hoffman and Meryl Streep, but Amy Adams is really, really right up there, and she really holds her own in this film. And it's a Catholic church, and Philip Seymour Hoffman plays a priest, and he's then accused of sexually harassing a student, and Meryl Streep is sort of the head mistress. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and she sort of confronts Philip Seymour Hoffman about it, and Amy Adams is a young sister
a nun.
Nun, thank you, who works there as well, and she's sort of the very innocent. We're back to her being very innocent and big-eyed and naive at times because she doesn't really want to believe what's going on. But yeah, anyway, it's based on a play, and the guy who wrote the play also wrote and directed the film, and it's honestly up there with and that goes back to like her working again with Philip Seymour Hoffman, her working again with Meryl Streep. As I mentioned, The Master being like a master class, a master being a master class in acting.
There's so many puns in
there
this.
There are.
So.
We're going crazy. Doubt is really, really, and I don't say this lightly, even though I mentioned it a couple of times in this episode, but that's because Amy Adams has been in great films. Doubt is really up there as one of the films with phenomenal acting in it. I think Viola Davis also got nominated for that. She plays the mother of the son, who is the son that Philip Seymour Hoffman is supposed to have harassed,
taken advantage of.
Yeah. It's a tough subject then, but she plays the mother and was nominated, and she's phenomenal in this as well. So 4 actors who are on the top of their game in this film, and I cannot recommend Doubt enough if you haven't seen it. It's great, and it looks fantastic as well. Anyway, that's my number 4.
Yeah, I heard it's supposed to be an amazing film.
It's really, really good.
Yeah, my number 3, or actually my next couple of films are all Amy Adams films.
Yes.
Every single film of this were
Finally.
Amy Adams films, but those are films where she takes the lead role.
Yes.
And she does it so incredibly amazingly. Was that a correct sentence? Who cares? She does it. She's amazing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. So my number 3 is American Hustle, which I rewatched yesterday.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of stuff yesterday. And she is incredible. The scene
You can see he was holding back before. Now he's just like, when I talked about the film, he's like, quiet now. She's incredible.
Yeah, I love it. I don't know. I love her, and this film is one of the reasons that I love her, because she's a great actress, and you see it in this film because, like you said in the scene where Christian Bale and Amy Adams listen to the record, and Christian Bale goes, "Who starts a song like this?" And then it switches to her kind of perspective, looking at Christian Bale, and she explains why she fell in love with him and why she wants him, and it's this incredibly sweet relationship, and you really feel it. They work great together, and then they kind of not really split, but they get in a disagreement, and then she tries to seduce Bradley Cooper, like you said, and kind of these. You really see her character grow, and how she sees things and how she deals with the situation they try to get out of, because they get recruited by Bradley Cooper, and they have to do something for him so they don't get charged with conning people.
Yeah.
Ultimately, yeah. And yeah, when you see the film, you really see her character grow, and how she behaves, and how she kind of gets in way deeper than she wants to, and
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's great.
It's so good, man. It's so good.
Yeah,
it's such a cool film as well. Everything
especially
about the film.
Since in the film she's conning people by making them think that she's British.
Yeah.
And the Bradley Cooper's character doesn't kind of find out about this, although he's a FBI agent. She keeps going, and she keeps pretending to be British.
Yeah.
And she does a great accent.
She does, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a perfect example why she's a great actress.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what's your number 3? I'm excited.
All right. So...
Because I think I have an idea.
I'm excited, but because obviously I'm finally able to talk about something else than something other than a film.
Okay. Yeah. So it is what I'm thinking of.
Now, is that the one that you thought about with Chris Messina?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, was there another film? Anyway. My number 3 is Sharp Objects, which is a show. It's a limited series that came out, I think, last year on HBO, and it's now like widely available on Blu-ray and everything. And have you seen that?
I saw it yesterday and today. I finished about 3 hours ago. 4 hours ago.
And it's not making your list?
The reason I want to watch the series is for 2 reasons. First of all, I also want to pick something that's not a film. So I thought, all right, she's supposed to be in the show, and it's an HBO show. And HBO is famous for making some of the best shows out there, like Sopranos, Game of Thrones, etc. And yeah, I watched it, and I was incredibly disappointed. I thought she was great, but I wasn't a fan of this show at all.
What?
Yeah. Which is why I hope that you would pick the show.
So you can bash it.
So why I asked about Christmas Eve. No, because I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Why is it disappointing to you?
I thought the ending was incredibly disappointing.
Did you watch after the credits?
I did. And it makes 0 sense to me, with 0 setup, and seems to be in there just to be a twist, but just leave so many questions and kind of makes the whole show so unnecessary. I thought it would have been way better if it wasn't an 8-part series, but a film, because there were so many things in there that kind of led nowhere and were just there to kill time. And yeah, there were a couple of actors in there who I thought didn't really fit. But she was amazing. I loved her in it, and I would have loved to love the show, but I couldn't.
Who's an actor that you didn't think fit?
Chris Messina at first. I thought he was kind of okay towards the end.
Okay.
And I didn't really like her sister.
Oh, see, and the mother is great, Patricia Clarkson.
The mother's great, yeah. I give you that. Yeah.
See, I absolutely love this show.
One of this kind of twists, they kind of hint at it in episode 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it seems to be they just want to hint at it. But the second they said it, I was like, all right, that means that. And then they kind of tease it in which it seems like they think are small clues, but are just seems like they're screaming at you. Yet this is the thing, and then episode 7 of 8 they reveal it, and you're like, yeah, of course, thank you. I don't know, and then they do kind of change it, which makes no sense, and I don't know. The whole setup was for nothing. I felt
that's incredible. See, I absolutely love this show. I mean, it's done by the same guy.
Talk
who,
about the way you love it.
I'm
sorry, I didn't want to make it bad. Yeah.
No need to apologize. It's by the same guy who did like Big Little Lies and Dallas Buyers Club. Jean-Marc Vallée, who's a great director. Yeah. And I thought this is, I mean, it's a crime series, right? It's like not a murder mystery, but she's like a journalist who moves back to her hometown because a crime happened there, and she's sort of trying to figure out what happened. And it's also family drama because she gets to rekindle her relationship with her family and her mother and her sister, who she hasn't been in contact with in a while, I think. And she's very, very a very damaged woman, Amy Adams, in this. Like she's like an alcoholic, I think, right? And keeps marking her body with a knife, and it's she's like horrible depression, or like she's in a very, very bad state. And then obviously things are happening in the family, and she's trying to figure out what's going on in the town with the murder and stuff. And I just think I thought it was excellent, and it's one of those. I was happy to see her in an extended series and not just in a film, because I thought it was nice to see her develop a character over a couple of episodes rather than just in a film as a side character. So that this is very much her show as well. She's very much the leading actress, and I think she carries it well.
I think it's her only producing credit.
Oh, it is? Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised by your reaction, but it's absolutely fair. And
I am too. I'm quite sad that I had to say it, because when I started the show, I kind of it's about the murder, and it sounded so interesting, and I was so excited for it. And then I saw while the episode started, I was scrolling through IMDb, and I saw that the writer of the book, which the series is based on, is the same writer, the same author as of Gone Girl.
Yeah, great film. Gillian Flynn, yeah. Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, it seemed like, I don't know, the perfect show, and I love limited series. I think it's a great format.
Yeah, me too.
Because
I was so happy that they didn't make a second season, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know, yeah. There are some things that I
man.
Didn't like. Like, also alcoholism in the film seemed so underrepresented.
Sorry, what? Who's in the film?
No, her alcoholism.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
She drinks a lot, but I don't know, there seems to be no effect of it at all.
Oh, come on, dude. I mean, she keeps driving, and listens to music in her alcoholic state, right? That's like, she keeps listening to the tapes to her.
You don't see a lot of it. I don't know, it would have been interesting when alcoholism really got in the way of her life, but she just seems to be drinking just to see, all right, she's damaged, she has problems, so she drinks a lot. And that's kind of it.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Like, there's maybe 1 or 2 scenes where she then sleeps in her car because she's so drunk.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't know.
And the ending that you talked about, like, there's like stuff actually
it's so
happening.
Hard to talk about with what's
I know, we're not spoiling anything, but there's stuff happening like even after the credits, and it really worked for me. And that's all I thought.
It was interesting, but there seemed to be no setup, or and there are so many problems with how it was presented, and at the end, of course, the mystery is resolved, and clues are to be found. One of the clues that you see, I thought, made no sense. I don't know. We'll talk about it later.
Will we?
I hope so.
Fair, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, that's
Pour
sharp
a glass
objects.
of whiskey and we can talk.
Yeah. I'll put a listening device on it. All right. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is probably higher. Not as high, sorry, as you have it. I know it's going to be your number 1. Because what else? Nocturnal Animals.
Nocturnal Animals.
Yeah, plural.
That's the best thing that I've seen from Amy Adams. Yeah, that's my number 1.
I thought so.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to let you talk about it because...
No, come on. Go on. We'll have a discussion about it. Yeah,
All right,
we'll talk about it.
Nocturnal Animals is a film by Tom Ford, who is actually a designer, which makes it so weird. It's his directing debut.
No.
Debut? No, it isn't?
No. He did a film...
I thought so. I'm so sorry.
...with Colin Firth called A Single Man.
Oh, okay.
That was his first film.
I'm so sorry. All right. It's... Okay, one of the few films Tom Ford has made. And it's with Amy Adams and Jake Gyllenhaal, which are one of my 2 favorite actors.
Yeah.
I love them both. And it plays kind of in 2 worlds, maybe 3, because it starts with Amy Adams' character getting a screenplay or a book draft, rather, from her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then it's called Nocturnal Animals. And then you kind of see her private life and how her life is going. Then you see what when she was younger and how she met her then later ex-boyfriends and what their connection was. And then you see the story of the book play out.
Right. So she reads the book and she sees herself as one of the characters, or she sees a lot of...
No, she doesn't see herself. Right?
No, but
she sees the protagonist as her ex-boyfriend. So her ex-boyfriend and the protagonist are both played by Jake Gyllenhaal.
Right, but there's someone with like Isla Fisher plays her, right? That's why she sees her. That's with the red hair. That's like
fair. All right, yeah.
But she sees a lot of parallels with the screenplay and the story with her and her ex-husband, and you get to sort of see the script that she reads.
Husband and wife? Or
I don't know. Maybe they were just a couple, yeah. But you get to see the screenplay that she reads. You get to see what she sees as a film inside a film.
Yeah.
And
that whole concept is...
It's so simple,
so
right?
Great.
It's so simple, but it's really, really good, yeah.
And it's, first of all, well-made, amazing actors, because also Michael Shannon in there.
Yeah, man.
Armie Hammer in a very small role.
You remember? Yeah.
Then boyfriend of Amy Adams.
Yeah.
Husband.
Yeah, he's the husband now, yeah.
And that was kind of a weird part.
Well, he's the current husband, isn't he?
Yeah, current husband, yeah. And
Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's fantastic.
Aaron Taylor Johnson as
Roy?
Incredibly disgusting person.
Yeah.
And the whole film, or what happens inside the book that she reads, is incredibly disturbing. One of the most uncomfortable scenes that I've seen in a film, because it's incredibly violent and deals with rape and things like that, and it's an incredibly brutal film to watch.
Yeah.
And very tough subject matter. But yeah, it's an experience you won't forget. It's amazing.
Yeah, I just absolutely love this. It's like the concept, the acting, the story. It's really, really good. And the ending. When I first saw it, I didn't love it, but the more I thought about it, the more I liked the ending as well.
Yeah, and I think she's great.
She's fantastic.
Seeing, you kind of think that the most interesting part is her reading the book, because what happens inside the book is kind of seems more exciting than what her life is like. But then you kind of get to know her character and her relationship with her ex-boyfriend or husband, and it's incredibly interesting, and you get sucked into the story so much. And yeah.
This is really one of those films that I feel like a lot of people haven't even heard of. And like outside the cinephiles, obviously, we're always going to exclude them because they've seen everything. But this is a really like a solid recommendation from me. I think everyone would get a kick out of this, even though it's brutal at times, as you just said. But I think it's really, really, I would recommend this to just about anybody
who can deal with this kind of film.
Right.
I wouldn't recommend it to, let's say, my mother. But
okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think this is great. I cannot wait to see what Tom Ford does next, because I hope he's going to make another film soon, because I I was so impressed by this. And the imagery is like, it starts off with this. Do you remember? It starts off with these, like with the fashion show and these.
Start to a
yeah.
film, because we saw it in the sneak preview.
Yeah.
And in the sneak preview, you don't know what film's gonna come on, and the film starts, and
we still didn't know.
We didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
For like, I don't know, the opening takes quite a while.
It does, yeah.
And it's just obese women with sparklers and I think flags dancing.
Yeah.
And I think slow motion. And it's so great. I don't know.
And if you watch the film, then I recommend, even if you haven't, just listen to a couple of Tom Ford interviews, because this guy has the best voice I think I've ever heard. I mean, it's such a soothing voice. Yeah. Make sure to look that up as well. Anyway, let's get to your number one. And my number two.
My number one. Yeah, we both know what's gonna come.
Yeah.
It's an incredible film. Batman vs Superman. All right. No, terrible film.
Justice League.
Yeah. So yeah, forget all DC films. I tend to forget that she's in them because
you want to forget. Yeah.
I'm sorry to Amy Adams, but I don't know. I don't care for them very much. No, my number one is one of my favorite films of all time. It's one of the very few films that I rated a 10 on the few platforms that I use to rate films. And yeah, it's quite a divisive film. I know a lot of people who love it, and I know quite a few people who hate it.
Wow.
But it's a film by one of our favorite directors who you kind of introduced me to.
Mm-hmm.
A film. I once saw a film by him which I loved, and then we sat in the sneak, and you told me about this film which might come, and did come. It was an amazing film, and that's how I kind of got into the director. And that's quite a long setup.
I was going to say, yeah. Are people still here?
Yeah. So he's an incredible director, and one of the best directors still working today. And he made this film about 2 or 3 years ago.
Keeps going.
And it's I know, it's never gonna stop. It's a rival. It's fucking a rival. Yeah, Amy Adams plays the leading character, and she plays a language expert who is hired or recruited to translate an alien language because multiple spaceships have landed on Earth or hovering over Earth, and she is brought on to translate the language. And I just love the film. Holy shit, I love the film. But I'm sorry, I talked too much about nocturnal animals and...
No, you didn't. That's all good. All good.
Setup about Arrival. No, I'm sorry. I'm in my head so much right now. I'm having a little orgasm right now because the film is so incredibly good.
Yeah. An eye-gasm? Is that? No, I don't know.
It's an eye, ear, everything-gasm. I love this film. Yeah. It's yeah.
Why do you love it so much?
It's an interesting premise.
It is.
I know. Because, first of all, I love sci-fi films, and I especially love sci-fi films that have kind of an interesting and unique perspective on the genre, like District 9, for example. And yeah, this is on such a small scale, because normally alien sci-fi films, it's like aliens invade Earth, humans fight back.
Yeah.
Fire, explosions, or space. It's on such a small scale and has so very few settings, because at first you just see her working at the university, and then the recruiter, and then it's just her in the military camp or her on a spaceship trying to interpret the language. And it's so captivating, and the music is so amazing, and you just feel like you're there in the spaceship, and the aliens have such a unique and incredible design, and
they do.
The noises that they make, and
the visuals.
Well, I say unique design, they very much remind me of the Reapers from Mass Effect, which I also love, and kind of threw me back. And the more I watched the film, the more I loved it. I think it's the film that I watched the most in cinemas. I think I watched it 4 or 5 times, which I normally wouldn't do, but for a while I just watched. I think I watched it 3 weeks in a row, and that just speaks of how amazing the film is. And every time I see it, and every time I hear it, with the opening song being the Nature of Daylight. No, what was it called? Fuck.
Max Richter one?
Yeah, by Max Richter.
I don't know what it's called.
The Break of Daylight? Oh, fuck. Anyway, it's an amazing song by Max Richter, who is a German composer. And every time you see this opening scene with Amy Adams and her daughter, and yeah, Amy Adams is just one of the reasons the film is so amazing. She's perfectly cast, and she has great chemistry with her co-star, who is Jeremy Renner, who she worked with in American Hustle, and she so deserved an Oscar nomination for this film. And yeah, just watch the film. Yeah,
it's amazing.
So, what's your number 2?
No, I agree with everything you said, and I think just in terms of the visuals, it's one of the most beautiful films out there.
Incredible, yeah.
It's amazing, and as you said, it's by Denis Villeneuve, who did. He's like.
I think I never mentioned this.
No, yeah. He's literally like top 3 directors for me, and the next one he's going to make is Dune, which hopefully won't get delayed because of everything that's going on right now. But anyway, that's another film I can't wait to see, and he's just every single thing he's done is worthy of checking out. He's absolutely amazing. Yeah, and the visuals and the sound, as you said, and the story it's so beautiful and unique and daring.
Just the design of the spaceship.
Yeah, man. It
Yeah.
feels so intimate yet so epic, doesn't it? I mean, because it starts off as this like mass hysteria when they land and everything, but then it's sort of it's very contained.
It's one, if not the most realistic portrayal of how it would go down if aliens landed that I've ever seen.
Well, if aliens land that come in peace, right?
Yeah, that come in peace, but just on how people react and how they, the beginning scene of how it would go down and this kind of uneasy feeling of what to do and.
Absolutely. And we just mentioned Amy Adams. She's brilliant, and the director is great, but we also have the cinematographer, but the writer as well. I think it's Eric Heisserer. I'm going to butcher that name. It's based on a short story. It's just that the story itself is really, really amazing. It's really, really amazing.
And there are these incredible details, which the first time we saw it was at a film festival, and I was so incredibly tired because I think it's...
You always are, though, right? I mean, we
I think
solidified that by
midnight.
now. It was late screening, yeah.
And I was so... Now, I'm always a little tired, but I was so incredibly tired, and I nearly fell asleep while watching the film, which is why I didn't appreciate it as much the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
And then I didn't realize these incredible details, which I only noticed later, because when they are on the spaceship trying to translate their language, they're all wearing complete hazmat suits because the atmosphere and everything seems all right, but just to be safe, they're wearing hazmat suits, and they bring a bird. And the first time I saw that bird, I was like, I know, are they going to feed the bird to the aliens? What's going on? What's going to happen? And you just hear this bird chirping sound, which makes it so the whole atmosphere is so eerie, and then nothing really happens with the bird. And then only later did I get that, or read the reason the bird was there is to see if the atmosphere is still safe, because when the bird dies, they should get the fuck out of there.
Right. Right.
Which is such an incredible, cool detail. Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing, man. I mean, we can't praise this film enough. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's worthy of your number one, and it would make my number one if it wasn't for Nocturnal Animals, which is like it could be.
I get why Nocturnal Animals would be your number one, because it's also just such a unique experience in film. Yeah. Right.
I was just going to say it could be Arrival if you ask me on a different day. It's just these two are sort of, they're definitely my top two, and right now I'm just going to pick Nocturnal as my number one. Yeah. Anyway.
And after you see Arrival, you're going to fall in love with Amy Adams too. She's amazing. And I think this is the film of... I always I liked Amy Adams, but that's the film which just solidified my love for her. My admiration.
Amy, if you're listening to this...
She's a great actress. I don't know how she is personally, but she's just a great actress, and that's, a great example.
For sure. That's a great way of ending it.
It is, yeah. I'm incredibly happy to put Arrival at number one, and I'm incredibly happy to have a list about Amy Adams.
Yeah. Do you have any?
Thank you for suggesting it.
Do you have any honorable mentions you want to list?
I was thinking about putting Charlie Wilson's Warrants, but yeah, didn't quite make the list. And I want to talk about Sharp Objects because I wasn't sure if it's gonna be on your list, but
yeah,
since it was, I was quite happy to kind of talk about the show for a bit, especially since I literally just finished it.
Yeah. like my honorable mentions that I wrote down were, we talked about most of them. We talked about Vice, Julie and Julia, and Catch Me If You Can. But the one thing that we haven't mentioned is Sunshine Cleaning. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't. No.
That's a nice little, rather beautiful film as well, with Emily Blunt as well. Amy Adams and Emily Blunt.
Can you give a short summary?
Well, I believe they're sisters, and it's been a while since I've seen that one as well. But it's sort of their dynamic, and Emily Blunt plays sort of a drug. I don't want to say addict, but maybe she's going down the wrong path there, and there's a very, very sweet thread throughout the film that I don't want to spoil, but it involves a TV. if you know the film, you know what I'm going to talk about, and that sort of wraps that storyline is wrapped up in a rather beautiful way towards the end. But it's about them cleaning crime scenes, so that's that's their jobs.
That's an interesting premise.
Yeah, it's a really, really sweet film that not a lot of people have seen, and it was recommended to me by a friend of mine. So Anna, thank you for recommending that film. Right.
I think I just have to say about Amy Adams, she hasn't done a whole lot of movies, especially since her breakthrough after Catch Me If You Can and Junebug.
Yeah.
But all the films she's done, I couldn't name a single bad one.
Yeah.
After that, I except for DC films, but I don't see them as as
movies.
Noteworthy pictures. Yeah.
I thought they were both fine. I know you didn't like Batman v Superman. I thought that was fine, and
I didn't like Batman v Superman. I didn't like Superman.
Justice
I didn't
League.
Yeah.
Superman, you mean Man of Steel?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like.
It's one of the
that's the one I like the most,
or maybe the only film that I walked out of.
Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I saw it with some friends in the cinema, and one of them had to go because they had to catch the last bus, late screening, and
Gotcha.
I was like, I don't know, fuck it, I'm gonna go too.
Well, I liked it, but I would never put them on my top 10 list. But I enjoyed those films as well. I was going to say one other thing, right? Because you mentioned that you haven't seen a bad film. I mean, the new one looks pretty bad. I gotta say, woman in the window.
Yeah.
I think the trailer looks pretty bad. Hopefully, it's better than it looks. But that's sort of the next film that I was excited about, but now I'm not so excited. But we'll see. Hopefully, that's going to come out soon as well. All right. With that, this is a long episode.
Yeah. How long have we been recording? 1.5?
About 90 minutes.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah.
Your longest episode yet.
Yeah.
But there's so much to talk about with Amy Adams.
Can't talk about it enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, we hope you enjoyed that episode.
Yeah. We're going to keep talking about Amy Adams after we stop recording.
Yes. We hope the sound quality is okay, better, hopefully, than it was last week.
Yeah.
And, that was our second special episode. Hopefully, as I said, you enjoyed it, and we'll be back with another regular episode next week. And, you can always find us on Twitter at Best Thing Radio. You can leave us a rating on the podcast platforms, which would be very much appreciated. Yeah, we'd love some feedback, especially on on our special episodes, and how you like them. Yeah, and let us know what's the best thing that you've seen from Amy Adams. That's always interesting to hear other people's opinion on that, because there's a lot of good stuff to choose from. Yeah. A lot of good stuff to choose from. All right, dude. Any final words? No, I think it's a great list, and I'm glad we had the chance to talk about it. For sure. All right, man. Then that was episode 8, and we'll see you again. Well, you'll hear us again next week. Bye. All right, bye.